Welcome to the Do More podcast, where we share strategies and tips for improving your life in every aspect. Here's your host, John Farling.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Another show. This one is similar to the last one where it's just me, not interviewing anybody. So I've had quite a few people, actually, before I get into it, if you're watching on YouTube here, got my new LFG Mastermind shirt on, new swag, original print. So anyways, want to dive into this. I have had quite a few people reach out and saying, hey, how are you finding your deals? How are other people in the industry finding deals? And the landscape has changed quite a bit, obviously, in the past few years. When I got into it, I would say, the areas that I was looking at was a little bit easier. It's been picked a little bit harder since then, but you can absolutely still find deals. I've closed on 3 in the past, we'll call it 5 months. So there's definitely deals out there. You can definitely find them. I'm going to go over the top 3 methods that I've found best for me to find deals. And then I'm actually going to throw in a bonus too that I myself is I'm going to start working on and diving further into. But we'll dive right into it. And there is one commonality, and that is relationships. Okay. So no matter what method you pick, whether you're dealing with brokers, and that's not one of these, but whether you're dealing with brokers or these other methods that I'm going to talk about, relationships is the commonality. You have to have relationships with brokers, right? Even though they're not on my list today, they're very important. I've bought 3-4 deals from brokers. There's definitely deals that are listed. Maybe that's another episode, but right now we're going to focus on more off-market deals. But don't forget brokers. They're wonderful. So we'll dive into number 1. Number 1 is wholesalers / Facebook groups / masterminds. I put all 3 of those together just because they kind of overrun each other, I guess, a little bit. You're going to find some wholesalers in masterminds. You're going to find some wholesalers in Facebook groups. So I figured just lump that all together. So this obviously goes back to relationships. Join Facebook groups, join masterminds, join networking events. Join all these groups you can. The Facebook groups are easy, right? Just join the Facebook groups that you can just search up self-storage for sale, off-market self-storage deals. There's going to be a ton of them pop up. And as we go on, more and more keep popping up. So you can, that's an easy pick right there. And then they're going to have deals pop up. I'm not sure if it's daily or weekly, but I get, there's probably deals dropped in those Facebook groups daily. So pretty common that you see a new deal in there. And if you're new to the game, underwrite everything. I've probably talked about that before, but underwrite everything. So even though a deal is in, let's say, Mississippi, and you don't really want to buy in Mississippi, if you're new to the game, underwrite it. Underwrite everything so that when a deal does come across your area, you're going to understand how to underwrite it quickly and move forward quickly. Other than that, we talked about Facebook groups. You're going to find wholesalers in those groups. The more networking you do, the more you'll find wholesalers. And sometimes they're not mass wholesalers. I have a couple buddies that will wholesale 1 to maybe 3 storage facilities a year. So that's where places like the Storage Rebellion and other mastermind groups, joining those are very beneficial because there are people in there that are finding deals and then wholesaling them. So Facebook, you're going to find wholesalers. You're going to find people, drop them in there. Masterminds, other groups, you're going to network with people and learn from, you're not learning, and get deals from them. So really networking in general there. So that's number 1. Number 2, this is the main way that I bought most of mine. That's direct to seller. And that is, there's a lot of ways to do that, right? You can send mailers, you can call, you can text, you can get creative and try to meet them out at a function that they may be going to, that you find out maybe they're a part of, or whatever it may be. But you're trying to basically sell a meeting with the seller. That's the end goal. At least for me, that was my end goal. I was trying, every deal that I'm looking at, I'm trying to meet the seller on site at their facility. It does a few things, but mainly it gets me in front of them, shows them I'm real. I'm a real person, just like them. I've got a family, more than likely just like them, and just trying to make a smart investment just like they did back when they purchased it. And again, there's a lot of ways to do that. Mailers, I've done, I don't know how many mailers I've sent over the past 6-7 years, probably maybe pushing 1,000. So in the I guess direct marketing world, that is not a lot. I've not sent many mailers. Majority of my mailers are follow-ups, where I send the same list of storage owners. We'll call it about 60. Excuse me. I send them a letter 3 to 4 times a year. Just following up, just making sure that when and if they are ready to sell, that they at least reach out to me. At least I get a chance to give them an offer, or at least negotiate if they already have an offer. So yeah, that's mailers for me. And then calls. I know a lot of people that do calls. It's getting tougher to do that if you're finding facilities that are already owned by a somewhat sophisticated owner, to where the call is going to, whether it's that owner's call center or a third-party call center, it's getting harder to reach the owner through calls. But you can still do it. In fact, I've had calls, now I think about it, I've had very few, but I've had some call me on my cell phone. In fact, I've had some call my wife's cell phone, which is crazy because she's not part of the business, but she's gotten some phone calls from people wanting to buy a couple of our storage facilities. So there's definitely people getting creative out there trying to track sellers down or owners down by calling. And in relation to that is texting, especially with today's technology. I would say majority of the sellers I've bought from probably wouldn't respond to text, even if I tried. There were a couple that responded every once in a while, but for the most part, the mailers and calling got them. But you got to know your audience. So if you find out maybe it's a somewhat younger owner, or someone that has adapted technology and does texting may work. And then what's important to all these is follow up. I'll admit that myself, I have not done a super great job of following up in means of, I do send letters, but there are other ways that I could follow up and get more creative. I just haven't done that. I was actually talking to a guy this morning that is in sales, and I told him I think it's super helpful and very important to have a sales background if you're reaching out to sellers. It just teaches you a lot of things, people skills, how to negotiate, how to read people. It's just really, really valuable when you're when you're direct to seller. So that's number 2. Number 1 was wholesalers, Facebook groups, masterminds. And then number 2 is direct to seller with mailers, calls, texts, and any other, creative way you can reach out to the seller. Third one is kind of can be wrapped up with the other 2, but just talk about it. Talk about what you're doing. I've got a gentleman that's, I'm guessing will probably listen to this show, and I appreciate his support. He's been to a few of our online training programs that we had last year, and I see him, excuse me, at least weekly post something on Facebook that he's buying self-storage. Just talk about it. The more you talk about it, the more you network with people. It's amazing how many deals can pop up. In fact, one of my deals, I think this was in 2020, one of my deals, I ended up, when I first started storage, I used an actual auctioneer. That was 2019. I used an actual auctioneer, believe it or not. And we got to talking, and I think I was on my second or third facility, and just telling him, hey, yeah, I'm definitely looking for more. if you do any auctions on any other storage facilities, say something to the owner or see if they may want to sell. I'll give you a kickback, just a lead referral, bonus money. Ended up, I would say, 3 to 6 months after that conversation, he called me and said, "Hey, I do know a seller or a facility owner that's looking to sell. Here's his name, number. Give him a call. Let him know that I gave you his information." And I did, and ended up taking that deal down and ended up sending him basically referral money. So as little as that is, one conversation, and that was definitely not the first conversation that I had about trying to buy storage facilities. It may take a while, but the more you talk about it, especially once you have your defined buy box, right? So my buy box is basically storage facilities in Ohio. I don't care what size. I don't care what type. Especially if they're in one of my markets or close to one of my markets, I'll go super small on a facility. And I'll go bigger size too. So when it comes to buy box, it doesn't have to be according to size. You got to figure out what your buy box is. It might be. For me, it's not. If it's in Ohio, I would love to take a look at it. So that's third. Just talk about it. Talk about it to anybody and everybody. So we'll cover these again. Number 1 was wholesalers, Facebook groups, masterminds. 2 is direct to seller with some type of marketing method. 3 is just talking about it, right? Even I remember hearing a story about an investor that just talked about it while he was at church and ended up buying like a 40-some unit multifamily. So this does not just have to be self-storage. This can be any asset class or anything you're looking for. Just talk to people about it. And then my bonus one, so fourth one, is reaching out to, especially in this environment, and I'll explain, but reaching out to lenders. So there are going to be defaults in storage, no idea how many. In general, no idea how many, but there are absolutely going to be defaults. There are some probably happening right now where, in fact, I know for a fact, sorry, that's a little redundant. I've seen on Twitter where there are 3 facilities near me that are not hitting the DSCR, which is debt service coverage ratio. If you don't know what that is, Google it. So that's a huge red flag. And that means they could be coming close to defaulting on their loan and going down that path. So my bonus one is reach out to lenders. Tell them you're looking for storage. If they have any owners looking to sell or maybe in trouble, tell them to keep you in mind that you're buying storage. This is one that I don't think is used very often. And this is one that I've already started diving into it. I'm going to go down that path. More than likely, you're probably looking at a higher class storage facility. More than likely, you're probably looking at a bigger facility. More than likely, and it could be possibly newer and possibly close to being empty or not as full as the owner would like. So you've got to, in my opinion, you've got to have your operations down in order to jump into this venture. Now there's going to be one-offs where you don't have to, but for the most part, these are mismanaged properties that the owner has mismanaged in some way, and reaching out to lenders is a great way to get in the door. So there's 4 of them. Gave you a bonus, 3 plus a bonus, which is 4 of them. Hopefully this is helpful. If it is, please share the podcast. Appreciate everyone listening. This is awesome. This is an awesome journey that I've been on, and excited to see where this podcast goes and continues to grow. Appreciate everyone listening, sharing. If you like it, share it, subscribe. We're on YouTube, anywhere you stream podcasts, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thanks for following, subscribing, and listening to this episode of the Do More podcast hosted by John Farling. To learn more or ask questions, go to l4investing.com.